What's up guys, and welcome to another episode of El Jardín Perdido. Today we're pruning and reviving my peach tree. Alright, so beside me you will see my tropic snow peach. I think I'd done a previous video on pruning this in the past, but what happened was this past winter we had hard freeze that went on for a week and a half. Went down, I think, into the teens for some prolonged periods of time, and there is some significant damage on the trunk, but I'm more worried about some of these offshoots. So yeah, there's actually like lots of sap oozing initially out of this, and I think it can recover somewhat, but there is quite a bit of damage. What I want to do is take out some of these branches like this. I mean, that's just asking for disease and stuff. To be honest, I don't know how salvageable this is, but I'm going to do my best to just give it a fair advantage. And I've waited until the sap is slowed down, until whatever is going to die has died. But I want to do this before it goes deciduous, so I know which growth is more healthy as I'm pruning. It's kind of a shame because we have all this damage here, and then this one's attached. We have really healthy growth coming out on some of these branches, but I'm going to take them out anyway. And then some of these smaller ones for sure I'm going to take care of. In the grand scheme of things, I'll probably wait until spring to do this, but I want to take a nice donor scion, and I've kept some of these shoots that are actually coming from the rootstock. They're really healthy, so I'll graft some of those donors onto this rootstock. That way we have a backup of the entire tree if things start getting really bad. I'm not really seeing any oozing or anything on the main trunk. I should probably put some tree paint over this. I do like to use Ivy Organics for that. Nice and organic, and it'll keep pests away. But I'm really not seeing that much damage, after the fact. But it's not ideal. So yeah, just to reiterate, in the future, once things break out of dormancy, I will take one of the donors, put it on here, in which case, if everything goes bad with this tree, I can hack that down and we have a potential new tree. So sometimes it's nice to keep shoots. Right now, I'm just letting it, grow, get some vigor next to the old tree. But what we're gonna do is prune this. What I really did was, I did want to wait till the sap slowed down. I did want to wait the entire year to kind of assess things. Ideally, I do this in the spring. We still do have a little bit of growth left in the season, potentially. So I think I'm going to do that right now, because even when trees are deciduous, they're in dormancy, there's still things flowing, there's still things, it'll be, by the time spring comes, it'll be ready to just push everything out, and then I can do a summer prune if things get too out of whack. But right now, structurally, I'm probably not going to be able to adhere to a nice aesthetic and branching out. I'm going to start by cutting what looks really bad out, anything potentially harmful, and then from there we'll probably top things. Like some of these shoots up here might need to be topped and stuff, and we'll just kind of work accordingly. I just have a little handsaw and some pruners here. I'm going to use some isopropyl alcohol just on a paper towel here, clean everything off, prevent any more damage or disease. And it's probably time for a new pair of or a new handsaw here. A little bit rusty, but that's all right. All right. So like I said, one of the first branches I did a close-up on was this one. So we're going to take care of that. There may be a nice branch on here, but a lot of these branches look pretty bad. But I did want to do this before it went into dormancy, so I could really see what has good growth, what doesn't. So we'll start with this branch, and we're going to take this branch down as close to the trunk as we can. And you probably want to start sawing at the bottom, because this is a bigger branch. Another thing you can do is take off some more of this branch. I'll actually do that. I'm gonna take off the upper parts of the branch so we don't have all that weight bearing down. I don't know if you guys have ever pruned, and say you're pruning, there's a lot of weight and it tears off the bark. We don't want anything like that happening. So real quick, I'm gonna take off this branch. Nice clean cut nonetheless. Pretty significant branch here. I am going to see this branch here. It's really healthy. So I'm going to keep this on the side and use this for future scions. If you guys aren't careful, you can get splitting like that. Just something to take note of. But yeah, I'll probably clip off some of the woodier ones and feed the rest to my goat. Yeah, there's really only 2 woody ones. What you can do with those scions, I'll probably use some fresh ones in the spring, but what you can do with those scions is actually store them in the fridge with a little bit of moisture. Say like when you're germinating seeds, you squeeze out the paper towel. You can do something like that, put them in a baggie, keep them somewhere cool, and they'll go into dormancy in the cold, and you should be able to still use them in the spring. These I'm gonna give to my goats. And I had just a few others from the initial branch I forgot about that still look pretty healthy. Still nice scions. So I'm gonna hang on to some of those. Some of these, you know, that's completely dead. That's why I'm taking care of this right now. So yeah, these are all nice scions that I'm gonna cut down, keep the really straight ones. Like this is like perfect pencil diameter, a little larger. So I'll put those to the side. All right, so now let's take care of the rest of this branch. This one is completely dead, that part of the branch. Probably just break this down and use it as mulch. Okay, and then we're gonna carefully take out the rest of this nice and close to the trunk. As I get through a little further, I'll probably finish off at the bottom. Nice clean cut. You guys can see that. That's the nice clean cut, the kind of cut you want. Probably could have gone a little closer to the trunk, but it suffered so much damage. I really don't want to chance anything. Okay, as I'm moving on, one thing that's sticking out like a sore thumb to me, I just want to nip it right now. It's this branch. There we go. Those two were the worst visually. I do have some damage at the end of these branches. Yeah, so this branch we're looking at right now, as it goes out, there is growth, but there's gaps where leaves have fallen off and stuff, and it's just kind of messy, and it's honestly out further than I'd want it to be. So you even see a little bit of damage here. The first really healthy offshoot is this one. Even though it's a water shoot, it's going straight up, but we can probably work with that. And I'm looking at some of these. It is starting to, leaves are just starting to fall off. That's not necessarily bad, it's just a deciduous tree. But we have some healthy offshoots here. I'd say right about here is when things start. Right about here is where things start getting questionable. We've got this right here in the branch. This looks a little bit gnarly. So I'm gonna step back, reassess this a little bit, and see where I want to make my cut. So yeah, this is really healthy. These are all branching, good branches, a little bit young, but let's see. I might just take this one off because that's really the only one looking really questionable. I am keeping it in the back of my mind that I do want this ultimately to kind of branch out nicely. And aside from this little piece, the growth looks okay there. I think I'm going to take this out. It's going way out here first and just kind of eyeing things, seeing how that looks afterwards. All right, so with this opened up, it's a little easier to see where I might want things to go. It would kind of make sense for me to follow this up a little bit and maybe cut it off just about here. It was off camera, but quite a bit of growth on that branch. All right, so I'll probably get in with some fine tuning, but right now I'm gonna kind of look around this other main branch and see what I want to cut. All right, so right off the bat on closer inspection, I see this one branch is pretty bad. So we have a little bit to go by now. This is a really nice branch. I don't love how I'd rather have it branching out more, but we can always train that towards the top a little more. Yeah, so right now I'm just gonna go really wide. I'll talk you through some of these cuts in a little bit. I'll probably have to grab the ladder, and we're just gonna feel this out, dance around it, and make the necessary cuts. Unfortunately, that one water chute I was talking about doesn't align with the shape that I'd like, so we're gonna take it out. So this other healthy shoot, I don't love the direction, but we're going to top it about here to encourage more growth out this way. If it grows this way, we can later prune that. We're going to top it here. These younger shoots are a little harder to cut through because they're really tender. While I'm up here, we go ahead and nip this to encourage this to grow out a little more. This one's growing, we want it growing outward like this. Make my way down, I'm gonna do the same thing. Got a similar thing happening here. We're encouraging outward growth. This branch is kind of ugly. A little too straight up, too down. This is okay, maybe snip part of it so it grows out more. That looks good. And let's just take care of that here. And by snipping that, we encourage this to grow out more. And I'd rather have it grow out this way. Real quick, I just want to show you this scenario. We're using this branch right now, but it has suffered previous damage. It's fairly nice here, so I'm gonna keep this to potentially use this as the new branch next year if this one starts giving me problems. So this is just a little piece of insurance. All right, so I'd say this entire side looks pretty good. I'm going to get rid of this one. Same thing I was just talking about. I'm going to use this as insurance. And I'm going to nip this one, and this will be insurance as well. So these could be our new branches come next year. So now it's time to clean up this one a little more. This is just completely crooked. Get rid of that. It's a little off camera, but with this branch, I'll zoom out a little bit, but really it's gonna be more about just topping and training. Right now we have this one growing inward, we want outward. Same here. Probably gonna get rid of this whole branch. So cut these all down a little bit, take some weight off. Yeah, so now we can take this guy off. All right, this maybe not. And then reevaluating things, I think I'm going to take off both these branches and let this one stay, because we'll have this one, we have this one. Now we just top that one. See with this one, I'm going to cut it off right there. Let these kind of branch out. Okay, so as you can see, we have pruned a lot of this canopy. It's okay, the sap's not running too hard right now. It's going to go into dormancy here in the winter months. All right, so there may be a little bit of criticism as to why I did this now and not in spring. Well, like I said, I want any potential growth to happen on these branches that are left, not these gangly, crazy branches. And I don't want bud swelling. I also don't want that tree to put any energy into all that excessive growth. Now that we kind of have a new base, we can start from there. And like I said, some of those side shoots that we may use as potential branches down the road, those will be beneficial as well. So yeah, the reason why you may not want to do this in the winter, which is something that I am chancing, I am gambling with, I will have to deal with, is the fact that if we get another hard frost, you know, these limbs are potentially susceptible. I will say that a majority of the limbs that I'm working with are a bit hardier, so that should help. But yeah, you always have to weigh out the risk versus reward. The good thing about pruning in the winter rather than in the spring is that when you prune back like this, once spring hits, boom, all that energy is going to be exploding outward. Especially seeing that we have probably a pretty massive root system and we've taken off, I'd say, more than a third of the canopy. But yeah, I guess you guys will have to tune in with me. Hopefully this winter's not too bad and I can give you guys an update, see how things look. Also, I will be holding off on the grafting until spring for that very reason I just mentioned, the whole frost thing. All right guys, well, I hope you found this helpful. Feel free to leave comments below and give me your take, and do the same if you have any questions. All right guys, well, that's gonna do it for today's video. As always, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.